Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen of the press. Thank you so very much for being here today at NRG Park. We're honored to have you today for this unfortunate occasion, but we're here because even in the midst of negative circumstances, positive things do happen, especially here in Harris County and in Houston. My name is James Dixon. I am humbled to serve as the chairman of the board of the Harris County Sports and Convention Corporation that oversees operations, as you know, here at NRG Park and Stadium. We are pleased to be here today to share the positive news that's happening in the midst of so many challenges. Of course, our hearts go out to the families that are still suffering throughout our region, and especially those who have lost loved ones in this awful tragedy of Hurricane Beryl. It does not escape us that even as we speak today, there are still about 1 million people without electricity. Many are without food and water and the basic necessities that life requires. And so we want to applaud and appreciate all of our first responders, our elected officials, and all of the nonprofit organizations that are out conducting food drives and helping with ice and water, picking up trees and everything else that people are doing to provide a helping hand. Here at NRG Park, this location has become known as a go-to center, as an epicenter, if you would, of coordinating relief efforts that impact the city and impact our region. And we're pleased to announce today that this occasion has provided yet another opportunity to demonstrate that a facility like this can not only serve for sports and entertainment, but also add value to our community as a place where people can trust that they will receive help throughout our community. And coordinating this effort, of course, is our CEO, Ryan Walsh, and others whom you'll hear from in just a few moments, working with all of the officers of emergencies from the local, state, and federal levels, working with health officials, working with law enforcement and elected officials, all to collaborate into one thing, and that is making sure we help our region to recover as swiftly as possible from this devastating storm. So today we have federal and local officials here on hand today to look at the operations, to be updated on the things that are happening here to alleviate some of the pressure and suffering of our citizens. Our park here, through our corporation, have risen again to the challenge for meeting our community at this point of need. The recovery efforts for the region are happening here at NRG Park. There have been collaborative efforts between federal, state, and local authorities, and we're grateful today for the assistance provided through FEMA, through the disaster relief declaration. I want to commend President Biden for that, and of course Congressman McGreen will speak to that in greater detail. But this support, as obviously, is crucial as we work to help our community and our region to return to a sense of normalcy. And let me say, as we prepare to bring Congressman Green today, that it is so important, I think, that for Harris County citizens to know that this facility is your facility, and we treat it as such. We're glad to have several things happening here. The Texas Division of Emergency Management operation is taking place here. We want to also note that we have an emergency hospital of sorts here that's not servicing walk-up patients. We want to emphasize that. It's not for walk-up patients, but it serves as a place to relieve hospitals, as they would need to refer people here who are not facing critical circumstances, and that's to provide space for critical patients in beds as necessary, especially hospitals that may not have power. We're pleased to provide that service as well. The Texas Guard has a staging operation here at the same time, and the Emergency Task Force has a medical task force has an operation here as well. The American Red Cross is a part of this operation also. And so we're just pleased to have now a place where collaborative work is taking place to make sure that we do our very best to provide services to the region and to bring this region back to a state of normalcy as soon as possible. And I want to commend Ryan Walsh, our CEO, and our entire staff here at NRG Park with the Harris County Sports and Convention Corporation for making sure that we are that kind of hub for our community. At this time, with no further ado, I want to bring the congressman who represents the 9th Congressional District from the state of Texas, the Honorable Alexander Green. He'll have words at this time. Congressman Green.
Well, thank you very much, Bishop. After your introduction, I can hardly wait to hear myself. Thank you. Especially the press, because it's important for people to understand what's happening here at NRG. It is important for a multiplicity of reasons, but probably the most salient reason is that there is a collaborative effort that's taking place to get things done. I want to join the Bishop in extending our sympathies to those who have suffered greatly. Many lives have been lost. And while many of us are inconvenienced, I've been inconvenienced, my lights were out. I've been inconvenienced, the street was flooded. They suffer more than an inconvenience because they've lost the life of someone that they care for greatly. And after the storm is over and the lights are on and the streets are no longer flooded, they still have to cope with the life that was lost. So we want them to know that while we cannot replace the life that was lost, we can do as best as we can to make their lives more comfortable. And this is one of the reasons why I'm here today, because in these times of great difficulty, it has been my opinion that we should not allow the lines that may divide us on many other things to separate us. These storms are not Democratic storms, they're not Republican storms. They are storms that are taking lives and causing great havoc, great amount of damage. And as a result, it's necessary for us to come together just as members of Congress, the House, the Senate, to come together to make sure that we get the assistance to our constituents that they richly deserve. This is why I was proud to sign on to a letter with Senator Cruz, Senator Cornyn, and Congresswoman Garcia, asking the President to declare the emergency declaration for independent. So, we also sent a letter asking the President to give us the public assistance declaration, and he's done so. The President deserves an expression of appreciation for the means by which he did this. It was done with a great degree of expediency, if you will. So I ask you, let's give the President an expression and a thank you, Mr. President. Thank you for what you did. It means a lot to the people here in Harris County, also in the counties that I happen to represent, Brazoria and Fort Bend. I also want to mention this. When you get the emergency declaration for individual assistance, it does, of course, cover things like rent and food, certain things that you are considered the necessities of life. But also it calls the Small Business Administration to come into play. And I want you to know that the number to get to the Small Business Administration, the SBA, is 1-800-659-2955. I'll repeat it, 1-800-659-2955. If your small business has suffered some damages, call, see if you can get some help. I would also ask that you can reach them online at lending.sba.gov, lending.sba.gov. And if you're an individual and you want to talk about disaster assistance for an individual, your number is 1-800-621-3362, 1-800-621-3362. And the email or online address is disasterassistance.gov. Our government has many functions, but one of the functions that we can never overlook is the need to come to the when we have these emergencies. We call them acts of God. No one can predict them totally. No one can understand how they will wreak havoc upon us. We know they're coming, But you can't always be prepared for things that are coming that have random acts associated with them. But we do want to make sure that afterwards we are here and for you. That's what the federal government ought to do. The federal government ought to be here for people after they've suffered these natural disasters, also known as acts of God. When I was in law school, that's how we gave them their title. So finally, as I do my final closing, Bishop, the bishop is a minister, and he knows that preachers close at least 3 times.
At least 3 times.
3 times. So I'm now only on my second closing, but I think I'll leave it at second. My final closing is this, very seriously, friends. They have really done an outstanding job. In coming here, I managed to get lost, and I meandered into the area where they have all of these emergency vehicles, tractors and trailers. It's awesome just to see the amount of equipment that has been assembled here. It is really something to behold. And I want to compliment them for the outstanding job that they have done, because this is all about service. It's not about any one person. It's not about any one party. It's about American people coming together at a time of need to make sure that all are served well. Thank you, Bishop. I greatly appreciate you for what you're doing.
Thank you, Congressman. Thank you. God bless. Thank you so very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Congressman. We appreciate your leadership and your support and your also sends her support for this effort as well. We also want to mention today we are thankful to have present with us Brandon Dudley, who is representing Commissioner Rodney Ellis from Harris County Precinct 1. And we're honored, Brandon, for you to be here today to share your support. Thank you for your support and leadership.
Thank you so much, Bishop. First, just our special appreciation to Congressman Green and the congressional delegation and our Biden-Harris administration for bringing the federal resources here that we need to help serve the needs of our community. Special thanks, Bishop, to you, as a chairman, Ryan, and you and your whole team for making the Sports Corp, using it to meet the needs of the community and not just for sporting events. And that's just showing how we as a county are committed to doing everything we can to meeting the immediate needs of residents in the aftermath of Beryl, but we're not taking our eyes off long-term policies we need to pass and making sure our citizens have access to reliable public utilities. So we're going to meet the immediate needs of the residents, but also addressing the long-term policies. As people have said here, we can't control what the weather does, but we can control what the government response and preparation for these storms are going to be moving forward and how we continue to mitigate the impacts of climate change. But again, just a special thanks to the Sports Corp for doing everything we can to meet the needs of the residents, and thank y'all for having me here today.
Thank you, Brandon. Thank you so much. We appreciate your leadership and Commissioner Ellis's leadership as well, and that's a point well made. We do have to do better in going into the future. I do want to bring, without any further ado, the CEO of our Harris County Sports and Convention Corporation, Ryan Walsh. His team, his leadership is doing an amazing job, remarkable job. And I need to mention that this is not a first for NRG Park. If you go back to Katrina, you go back to Hurricane Harvey and Ike, each time there's a disaster in our community, this place has become known as a reliable and resourceful and reachable place for people to congregate, collaborate, and to connect to make sure that we contribute to the needs of our community. And that would not happen without the administrative leadership of individuals like Ryan Walsh. We're pleased. Ryan, give us a word about this from your perspective. Thank you so very much.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Chairman. Thank you, Congressman and Brandon. And certainly want to appreciate Commissioner Ellis's representation. We're in his precinct right now. The park is. We're also in your district, Congressman, so we certainly appreciate your leadership on everything that you all have been doing to bring the relief efforts. You know, as the chairman mentioned, much like everybody in the Gulf Coast region, we're no stranger to hurricanes and pandemics and natural disaster recovery. So we're fortunate to be able to have the 350 acres that we do to be able to use that as a resource for the public. As we referenced earlier, we've got a myriad of state, local, city, county officials, as well as private and nonprofit organizations on campus here distributing supplies, relief efforts, organizing, as well as the field hospital that the state has set up. You know, in the midst of all of this, the stadium, as has been widely reported, suffered some damage, but our staff doesn't stop us. You know, we're organizing the relief efforts at the same time as we're assessing our own damage. It's the same as everybody else around the region is doing. So we're certainly grateful for the support of our federal, our state, our county, and our city leaders, as well as those private and nonprofit efforts, and certainly our staff. Our 350 acres, you know, we're here for the people. We're the people's stadium, the people's property. We want to be able to give back to the people, and that's what we're here to do, and quite frankly, we're honored to be so. So thank you all very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ryan. We'll have entertaining the questions from the press at this time, but as you can see, this is a fully blown operation. It takes a lot of coordination and dexterity to make it happen, and we're pleased to serve as a catalyst for impact around for the region. Any questions, please?
I know this is being used as an emergency hospital. Can you guys talk about how many hospitals are on generators and still don't have power, or how long this will be needed, and how many hospitals will?
I don't know that we have the number of hospitals that are in those dire circumstances, but we're just here to serve as they may need us, because there could be a plethora of things that contribute to the need. Sure. So it is not a walk-up facility. It is only by referral from the hospitals themselves. Some hospitals may still be suffering with power outages, which of course reduces their ability to serve people in the hospitals. And then they may need to bring people here who don't have critical needs in order to free up spaces for those who do. So those are the two main reasons, of course, that this facility would be necessary. So it's an ancillary what if by way we can provide those services here.
Typically when it serves as a shelter, it's laid out in terms of cots. When we're talking about a hospital scenario, what's the layout looking like then?
Well, Ryan, you want to give any more specifics to that? Because
Sure.
it's sort of not a cot, that's for sure.
Sure, the state brings in resources that they can lay out. They set it up as close to, I mean, it's comparable to a shelter. I think it's a little bit better appointed. I have not been inside as it's active, certainly for privacy and HIPAA issues. We want to maintain the privacy of the patients, but you know, the state brings in all those resources, and they're very good at it. They're good at what they do. They take very good care of those people that are guests at taken home. I think they're discharged. I'm not quite terribly sure about the state's process on that. They asked us to set up for a 250-bed maximum field hospital. I don't think they're all full.
Any other questions?
For Representative Green, to speak to, top of mind right now is energy and power. Do you know, will there be any federal investigations into Center Point, and if so, what that may or may not look like?
Thank you for the question. There have been calls for investigations at a multiplicity of levels. The governor has indicated, and I've heard this by way of news sources, that he would like to see some sort of investigation. And Congresswoman Jackson Lee has indicated that she's calling for a federal investigation. I do believe that there needs to be more transparency. I will be on a call with Center Point in just a little while. And when I'm on that call, we cannot ask questions. Members of Congress cannot ask questions. We can ask a question before the call, or we can ask a question after the call. I think there should be a greater desire to receive input from people who are on the ground and who are talking to constituents. They are my constituents and their clientele. So we ought to be able to communicate to a greater extent. And I believe that there has to be, at some point, a means by which we can get a better understanding of just what's happened. This is large, huge. It is beyond what we comprehended initially. And there is a lot of speculation. Where you have few facts, you have a lot of speculation. There's a lot of speculation about what actually happened. The speculation is, and this is from constituents, that some of this may be as a result of brownouts, intentional brownouts to move electricity so that some areas can get served, but it would be at the expense of others. And there are people who are speculating about the payment of funds having some impact on the expediency with which CenterPoint acted. So to eliminate all of this speculation, I would hope that CenterPoint would have more interaction with the press. The press is the means by which the public acquires its intelligence about what's happening. If you don't get it, the public won't get it, and there'll be a lot of speculation. I think that there needs to be more transparency, and to give us that transparency, there has to be a greater interaction with the press. This is not something that is unexpected. It is something that is anticipated, desired, and appreciated when it occurs. Thank you for your question.
Congressman Green, I don't know if you want to talk about this offline, but I had some additional questions about CenterPoint. I can ask them now, or I can ask them.
I'll leave that to the bishop. Do you want them offline,
I
Bishop?
think it's offline.
Okay, we will.
I got a question about Fort Bend County. Can you reiterate to Fort Bend County residents how important it is to do what they need to do to fill out the paperwork that they need to fill out so they can be added to the FEMA?
Sure. Fort Bend County is online now. There was some consternation about the lack of having the individual disaster assistance, disaster aid, if you will. But it is online now. I was talking to persons with the Small Business Association yesterday when there was an announcement made, but it did not include Fort Bend. The announcement today does include Fort Bend, so they can make the application. And yes, they too, Fort Bend, Harris, Brazoria, but I'm here for Harris today, so I don't want to acknowledge too much about other counties, okay? I know the bishop doesn't mind, but I'm going to respect the fact that we're here for Harris. But I encourage all counties, let me just put it this way. I encourage all of the counties. This is the opportunity to go online and start the process immediately. I gave the numbers, and I'll just quickly say, for lending, if you'll go to lending.sba.gov, and the phone number is 1-800-659-22955. 1-800-659-2955. And for individual assistance, disasterassistance.gov at 1-800-621-3362. Bishop, thank you for allowing.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thanks for being here. Quick question. I know you said that the Congress people on the phone call with CenterPoint wouldn't be able to ask any questions. Who told that to you? Like, when they went to CenterPoint?
Well, they,
And then also a sub-question, how many Congress people are going to be on the call and who are they?
well, let me just tell you how it works. I cannot tell you the number that will be on because it's up to us as to whether we join the call. At the initiation of the call, when they're giving out information about how they will proceed, they tell us that you cannot ask questions. They literally say that, and they mean it because you're not open to the line such that you can ask a question. I think that that is something that they ought to rethink. Requiring us to ask our questions before or after the call does not give me the opportunity to hear some of the questions that may be of benefit to me, some of the answers that may be of benefit to me. So I want more transparency. Thank you.
Let me thank everybody very much for your presence. Thank you, Nina Jackson, for organizing our press event today. And all of you, thank you for your coverage, because all of the coverage you provide, as the Congressman mentioned, helps to inform the public, and information is empowerment. We need that more and more during this crisis. So thank you very much, and keep serving. God bless.